I guess starting off with lithium, the price on the market that I follow is $7,965, so close enough to $8,000. So it's picked up from around the $5,000 mark. It's still very strong and continuing to firm. The increase is remaining strong, around 3.5–4% a week, up from 0.5 to 1% a week when it started to lift. I guess the other thing I'd like to mention is tungsten. It's a hard metal used in machine tools for drilling holes in things like laptop bodies and computer bodies and things like that. It's an absolutely fundamental metal. The whole market is controlled by the Chinese. They managed to shut Western production down in 1987 when they dropped the value by about 150%. But it's now risen for $230, $235 a metric ton unit. It's been around $210 to $220 for the last couple of years. So it seems to me that that's indicating very strong manufacturing performance. So I'm expecting that to continue. In terms of the other EV metals, copper's the one that's going to benefit, I think. You need a lot of copper if you're going to have electric motors, and you need a lot of copper if you're going to have power generation, and you need a lot of copper if you're going to transmit the power to somewhere where you want it. So it's one to watch. It's around $3.62, $3.63 a pound. The banks are still using around $2.75, maybe $3 a pound, but I doubt that. We've mentioned copper before. Oz Minerals is the favoured technical specialist copper producer, but it has had a very good price run. So read Tom's research on that one. In terms of the diversifieds, BHP and Rio, obviously, I must admit I'm not a Rio fan. I think their copper strategy is a bit hopeless. They've got the old Kennecott mine, Bingham Canyon, and they've got a Tolgoi in Mongolia, which is giving them more trouble than they need to deal with. Their proposed development of Resolution in Arizona, I think, and that's in joint venture with BHP, but Rio's the operator. Resolution was going to be the mine which brought them a reasonable copper strategy going forward. There's now confusion over the grant of that. The local native people, the American Indian native people, are opposed to it. They argue that it's going to destroy sacred sites. I guess Jukan Gorge would be a similar sort of asset in Australia. So I'm a little bit concerned about Resolution, and it is at 7,000 feet below surface anyway, which in sort of non-technical terms could be described as deep. So, BHP and Oz Minerals, I think, if you want copper. At the smaller scale, I put out a note yesterday on KGL, which has the Jervois project in the Northern Territory. This is on granted mining leases. They were granted in the 1970s, but despite that, KGL went through the complete process of developing a complete new Indigenous land use agreement with the traditional owners. They've gone through all the processes for the environmental protection and analysis, and they got their final primary permit from the Northern Territory government. There will be others. When they want to cut a road, it will have to meet the Shire's standards. When they want to build a building, it will have to meet the Shire's standards, so they'll need to get permits for that. When they want to build a magazine, it will have to meet the Northern Territory standards, so they'll get a permit from that for that. But in terms of the primary permits, they will have all the heritage environmental permits they require. They've now got a mining management plan which approves the processes and the mining that they're going to undertake. They've had a mining contractor define the costs and actually bid on the costs that it's calling. So they've got a very good understanding of the costs. They're talking about a cash cost around $2.25 a pound, all-in sustaining cost. So we're looking at it at $3.63. I guess it's my preferred junior copper play, and I'd point you to Staveley. They've yet to get a resource, but they're working hard towards it. And obviously Duke Exploration, which has gone well since it lifted. They've been doing some drilling and finding good results and confirming what their previous work told them. So I'll stick with my perennially favoured copper plays. And that's about it for me, except I'm just on maybe treading on Adrian's toes here. But Joe Biden has said that he will stop fracking in the US. He did actually state that. He then said he didn't say it, and then he said he was misquoted. But he did say he would stop fracking in the US in March in one of the debates. He can't stop fracking in the US. He can stop fracking on federal lands, and he has said that now that he will stop fracking on federal lands. That's quite a bit of America, and it's also all the offshore. With the development of fracking, the US has gone from producing around 5 million barrels of oil a day to around 12 to 13 million barrels of oil a day. World consumption's about 100, so it's a significant part of world production. They are the world's biggest producer. Saudi Arabia is about 9 million barrels a day. So it's a significant change for the US. And the unconventional wells that they're drilling, basically they produce about half of their reserves in the first 9 months. So the production comes down very rapidly and then stays at around 10 to 15% of initial production for years. So the decline's going to be very precipitous. I think the prevention of fracking is on federal lands and offshore. It's not all over the US, but it will lead, I believe, to a fairly rapid decline in US oil production. I expect it will come back not to the 5 million that it was before, but maybe to around 7.5 million barrels of oil a day. It's got to have a significant impact on the oil price over the longer term. And I think if you're not in oil now, you should be strongly looking at it.